It's clicking. There it goes. Hello? Testing. There it goes. Hello? If you're interested in speaking before the city council, please sign up.
Where's the sign up sheet?
Right here.
Hey, I was going to tell you, whenever you get ready to, when you get ready to run or whatever,
Well, election's in 2 weeks.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, but you're over here.
No, I know, but I'm still endorsing.
Oh, I see. I got you.
I still support you regardless.
Got you.
And good luck to you.
Appreciate that.
Hey, I don't mean to interrupt.
You're going to switch over and use handheld?
Test, test.
He said he's hearing it okay now.
Hey, Troy. Look. Test, test. Can you hear me? Nope. Someone said yes, someone said no.
Yeah, it may be the volume.
Now, you may be able to hear back there, and you may not be able to hear out here. I'm trying. I'm waiting for them to come back out. Test, test. Can you hear me okay now? These two say no. They said they're not hearing it over here. All right, it is 5:59. I'm going to take the sheet up. If anybody else wants to speak before the city council today, please come up and sign in. I am going to take the sheet up to the mayor here in just a moment. Thanks.
We want to get out of here tonight.
Is this
Nope.
This doesn't even work.
Oh, 45 minutes?
Hello, hello. I can tell this one does. Hey, Donna, this is not working. Hello?
Are you done? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a quorum, and I call this meeting to order. Welcome to Midwest City Council, January 27, 2026. Thank you for being here. Hope everybody's staying warm. You need to thank the street crews of the city of Midwest City for doing such an outstanding job of getting our streets cleared. And I got a call this afternoon saying we did a heck of a lot better job than Norman. So there you go.
What's wrong?
Please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, it's on.
Vaughn?
bow with me, please? Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Father, we thank you for the moisture we've received in the last few days. Father, we thank you for keeping all those who had to be out in this weather safe. And Father, we just thank you for those that served this great city and took care of this inclement weather and helped us have some safe travel. Father, we thank you for the council and their decisions tonight. We ask that your wisdom and discernment be upon them. Father, we ask that these decisions are for the good of the whole that are made tonight. Thank you so much for this great city and state and nation. And Father, thank you that we're free to assemble like we're doing tonight. And thank you so much that we're free from sin because of your Son's sacrifice on the cross. And we ask all these favors in his holy name. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated, please. We have no proclamations tonight, so Mr. Lyon, community-related announcements.
Start out with the Midwest Cities Youth Baseball League is filling up quickly. There are only a few spaces left in each of the divisions, so please visit the Parks and Recreation page at the MidwestCityOK.org website for more information. Tickets are now on sale for the 2026 Midwest City Daddy-Daughter Dance. Families can get their tickets through Eventbrite by searching the Midwest City Daddy-Daughter Dance. This year's event will be held on Saturday, February 21st at the Nick Harris Community Center. And then finally, vendor applications for Covered in Color. Our annual spring celebration will open on February 9th. Covered in Color has been moved back to the Saturday before Mother's Day, May 9th. Everyone's encouraged to bring their mom out to the event and pamper her for the day. More event information will be available at MidwestCityOK.org. And I too would like to concur with the mayor. Our staff did a great job this weekend and have not stopped. They'll still be working in the morning, sanding and salting intersections in case we have freeze overnight, which we probably will. So anyway, great job by Public Works.
Trash collections.
Trash collections that were, we collected trash today and recycle, and Monday's trash collection will be Wednesday. So if you were on Monday's route, we'll pick up Wednesday.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. We now move into consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so the council members, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any council member requests to discuss an item, or if there cannot be a unanimous consent, then the item will be pulled and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
I would like to pull items 17 and 18 for discussion, please, and move to approve all other consent items.
Which one do you want approved?
17 and 18, please, Mayor.
17 and 18. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item 17, Mr. Lyon.
Discussion, consideration, possible action of appointing Ward 5 City Council member Sarah Bannon to the Ordinance Oversight Council Committee.
That's at my request for the last several years. It was actually the mayor's idea, and we've been going through all the ordinances, and it's a slow, tedious process. And it's just not the people on the council that do it. It's the staff that does it, because before we see it at the ordinance review, it's gone through their, whatever office it's coming out of. If it's Public Works, it's coming out of Community Development, they've done it. They've showed it to their supervisors, it's gone to the city manager, it's gone to legal, and then it comes to the ordinance review. There's been 3 of us on that, with Susan Eads, the mayor, and myself. Well, Susan's no longer with us. And Sarah has been asking diligently from day one that she wanted to be on it. And I think she would be an excellent addition to it. And I've asked that she be the one that, I'm going to place her name in nomination to be the 3rd person on the committee.
So with that said, I just wanted to thank you both, Vice Mayor and the Mayor. As many residents who tune into these council meetings know, we don't always agree on everything. So I appreciate your tolerance and your inclusivity to have opposing views on that committee, and I'm honored to take the nomination. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. And it'd be kind of boring if we did agree on everything, so. Well, with that being said, yeah, it's,
We bring it to y'all, but before it gets to that, trust me, it's every word, every line, everything goes through, because sometimes even we come up with some crazy ideas that it can't happen because it, number one, because it may be crazy, or legally we can't do it. So it's vetted a lot before it gets to the council to vote. And we don't always agree, so, we don't need 7 robots. And I make a motion to put Sarah on the board, or on the committee.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. And any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Welcome aboard. Item number 18, Mr. Lyon.
Before I go to 18, I got a text that the senior center will be closed tomorrow, so make sure everybody hears that. Okay, item 18, discussion, consideration, possible action appointing Brittany Hussein for Ward 4. How do you pronounce? Taiska Adams, Ward 5, John Manning, Ward 6, to the Midwest City Park and Recreation Board. Brittany will be serving her first full term, and Adams would be serving her 3rd term. Manning would be serving his 4th term.
On that one, I just wanted to thank everyone, including staff, and on the recommendation of Councilwoman Maxwell, who's repeatedly asked that we include bios on these nominations. There were bios on these nominations included in the agenda packet, as you had asked. So I just wanted to think that that was being done as requested. I also wanted to include that I learned a lot about these 2 individuals as a result of that bio, and I want to thank those public servants who are citizens who are volunteering their time to serve on this committee, and I literally was blown away by their qualifications and their experiences that they're bringing to the table. So with that, I move to approve that as well.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. We now move into the discussion items of our agenda. Item number 1, Mr. Lyon.
Discussion, consideration, possible action approving a resolution establishing the records management, retention, and destruction policy for the city and its authorities in accordance with state statute. This is something the city clerk and the city attorney has been working on for some time. Who's going to talk?
Oh, I get to? Okay. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Under Oklahoma law, there is a statute that runs with the Open Records Act, and it's called the Records Management Act. And the Attorney General has come out and said these 2 acts, although they kind of sound like they may be opposed to one another, are not, but they work hand in glove. What the Records Management Act says is that if the governing body, no matter what governing body it might be for state or local government, chooses to, they can set a policy of how records will be retained and what records can be destroyed. And from that, Sarah and I started working on this, how long ago, Sarah? Year and a half ago? Looking at this because we have a lot of records that we have that are old. We used to have a medical review board here that reviewed workers' comp claims, and a lot of those medical records still exist in paper form and cause HIPAA concerns for that. And so we've made sure they're properly secured, but it's now time to a point where we can start destroying those. So we worked on this, and when Sarah and I worked on this, then we pulled and collaborated with each and every one of our department heads. And that was really the first place we went and said, okay, how long do you want records? How long should we retain records? And then from that, a policy was written that went back to them, and we had at least 2 or 3 different meetings. And I want to thank each one of the department heads for coming to that meeting and participating in this process to create this policy. Under the state statute, it says that the governing body, if it's a municipality, must approve this via resolution. So that is why it is before you here today. What does this policy state? It states that as a general rule, we will keep records for 5 years. That is our general rule. And that's stated in the beginning. It also makes the policy that our digital records will be the official records of the city. So we are moving away from paper records and making it digitally. Then the rest of it, and that's like the first couple of pages, everything else is the exception to the 5-year rule. Some of those exceptions are for a shorter time. The shorter time is basically because of cost. We don't have the space to be able to keep voicemails. So you can destroy those at the end of a day. Or emails, because of the digital space it'll keep. Same thing with videos, and we made those a little bit longer. But we just don't have the digital space or the resources to be able to keep those for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. But after you get through those few, then everything else is a longer time frame. Those longer time frames can be set because of we get grants for those, and the grant program will require longer, or federal requirements will require longer. Then we have a set, as Sarah and I went through, and we went through with the department heads and said there are certain records we need to keep forever, and those are listed in here. So the policy is set out in that form or fashion. It requires your approval to go into effect, and so this is, like I said, is an effort by everybody involved to try to set up a records management plan so that we can begin addressing those issues and getting rid of paper records, making sure things are digitized, and this would also allow then the freeing up of space, because after certain time frames, those digital records can be destroyed. Sarah, do you have anything you'd like to add to that? So with that, either Sarah or I will be happy to take questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. I know the state says that you have to keep records for at least 5 years, substantive records, and the Fed usually 7. Why would you keep a copy of those records if you're going to destroy after 5 years or 7 years?
Without a policy, then you're required to keep them. Once we set up this policy, you're absolutely right. We can then destroy those at any given time. Once that time frame has passed, then we can destroy those records.
7 for feds and 5 for states?
As a general rule. Now, there are other exceptions in here, because we will get these on occasion. A matter will go to litigation, and then we keep them for 2 years beyond that litigation time frame to allow for appeals to occur. And so there will be what are called legal holds on those. And we get letters, I think I've received already 2 or 3 this year, that have been sent to me saying, we need to legally hold this about some kind of incident that occurred or whatever. So, and we track those as well. And so those are kept possibly beyond the 5 years through that litigation process. So, but yes, it's, the general rule will be, and the federal exceptions are pretty much listed. If you notice the policy, I write out to the side the federal statute or the federal regulation that requires this to be kept longer. And that's what we did to make sure, to reference that for the policy so that people after us will know what that's based on.
Any other questions of Mr. Mapes? Not seeing any, Chair to entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Thank you, Don. Item number 2, Mr. Lyon.
Discussion and consideration of possible action of accepting and approving the financial audit of the city of Midwest City for the year ended June 30, 2025. We have Jake Winkler here from Arlington Associates, aka Jake from State Farm.
In his khakis again tonight. So, well, thank you all again for having us. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the city of Midwest City. This is our, I believe, 3rd or maybe 4th year of the engagement. Before I'm going to start, I just want to hit a couple things. Number one, Tia and Frank and the whole team in the department were great again this year. We audit more than 30 cities in the state of Oklahoma. That's more than any other firm. And Midwest City is the first city to be fully issued of all of the cities out there. We have some that are very big, a little bigger than Midwest City. We have some that are very small. It doesn't matter. That speaks to a couple of things. Number one, the records are clean. There's not mistakes. Number two, they're ready for us when we come out. An uncommon occurrence, frankly, nowadays. So big thanks to Tia and Frank, because the reason this went smooth and the reason we're able to hit your deadline is because they're ready for us, and they do a great job. So thank you to both of them. So let's start by just going through the audit report. That's going to be the larger document, the much larger one. Here, the opinion's going to look pretty much the same. It is an unmodified opinion again this year. That means we believe that your financial statements are stated in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, that they are reasonably stated. There is an emphasis of matter paragraph in relation to a restatement for the implementation of GASB Statement Number 101, which modified the way that all governments have to account for compensated absences and includes some estimates related to sick leave pay. There is a note disclosure in Note 9 where it goes into more detail in terms of how that impacted the city's financial statements from prior year. There was a requirement that that is retrospectively applied, which means they have to do it based upon opening equity, cannot just apply it prospectively. Every city's having to do it, unless they don't pay for sick leave. Second page, there's 5 bullet points there. Those are our responsibilities as your auditor. That we always like to point that out to make sure that it's clear in terms of what we are required to do and what you are expecting of us. As far as everything else goes, the disclosures and everything are going to look similar. Since I don't have any audit adjustments, there's no need to really discuss operations. You've been working with good data throughout the year. Your decisions, financial decisions, budgetary decisions have all been based upon good information that's been supplied from your finance department. So again, kudos to them. The second one that we'll discuss is the single audit report. So there's 2 different reports within this. There's the Yellow Book report, where we would outline if there was any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. I'm pleased to report there are none to report. We would also report any compliance issues. We're pleased to report there's nothing to report there either. Also, we have a uniform guidance opinion. So this is our opinion on your compliance and internal controls as it relates to all federal spending. For the items that we tested, there's 2 programs. We'll talk about that shortly. But here, if there was any significant deficiencies, material weaknesses, or compliance issues, we would report those here, modify the opinion, but there were none, so we have an unmodified opinion on the uniform guidance as well. The 2 programs that we looked at this year, again, we looked at the ARPA funding once again, and then we also looked at the Outdoor Recreation Acquisition, Development, and Planning Grant, which was new this year. But again, no compliance issues, no internal control issues on either. So overall, this was another boring audit for you all, which is exactly what you want. With that, I'll entertain any questions you might have.
Any questions?
If a department had, overspent their budget, say at the end of the quarter, they were in the red.
Sure.
Would you catch that? Or would that be reflected in this budget, or would that have been, we would compensate, move funds from another department or another fund in there to cover it, but would it ever be reflected in this document?
Yeah, so good question. So one of the things that we'll actually look at is if you have any funds that are underwater, there's certain ones that can't be. General fund, it can't be underwater. Like you essentially have to have a positive net position balance on that by law. Other than that, what we're looking for is if things do go over budget, we might request some budget amendments or just trace those into the board minutes to make sure that the budget was amended to reflect that, because that's also state law. So we're testing compliance with state law there. However, just because a fund goes into a deficit, that does not necessarily mean it's in violation of state law. It happens. There's a variety of reasons it might happen. I recall, and it wasn't here, but I recall a golf course that was pretty heavily underwater at one point for another city that we looked at because they had a very large advance from another fund. So they were essentially getting an advance and borrowing from another fund to essentially supplement the operations whenever they did a big remodel on the course. It took them underwater. We would essentially discuss that if we thought it was a material issue, but at this point I would say there's nothing that was brought to mind that made it a material issue.
That was my concern.
Yeah.
As long as it's discussed, as long as it's caught, and the reasoning for that overage and the correction process and the appropriateness of the fund transfers to all that, as long as that's discussed and brought into this, then in my mind, it's a valid document. Good.
And let me answer that on a short term. He's looking at it from a view from a year. We're looking at it every month, and that's part of the department head's responsibility. And it happens. I mean, things happen, and we overspend. and we either try to make that up, we transfer within the department, or we might have to supplement from a fund balance. 25 years ago, we might have had to loan the police department some money to buy patrol cars, and they paid that back to the sanitation department. So some of those things happen over time, but we try to, on a monthly basis. That's why we have supplements in every council agenda, is we're making sure we have the appropriate amount of money in the budget.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment. I swear, it feels like just yesterday you were here doing this. And I know I asked this question almost every time of best practices and standards for rotating auditors. No offense to you, I like you a lot, but do you think next year there will be a different person, whether from your company, doing our audit? I don't know what the year mark we were going for. Was it 4?
Here's the thing. As far as best practices, it depends, okay? The fact of the matter is, there's not a lot of auditors doing governmental anymore. We are frequently bidding on work. Matter of fact, a city larger than you all went out for bid just last spring. They got no responses. Because no one was really taking on new work. Now, they reached out to us, and we've agreed to take them on. But the thing that I would say is you could absolutely go and rotate auditors and go to another firm. I have other partners that we could rotate in here, and you could have a different partner looking at the audit report. The turnaround on this can be challenging, truthfully, okay? So we start the audit first week in November, and we're issuing it before Christmas. Now, again, the team's capable of doing it, but some of that is coming from the familiarity that I would have and that speed, and you actually have a bond that requires you file it by, I think it's like the 27th or 28th of December every year. And you don't want to be in violation of that. So rotating can pose some risks. I will also say, just because I have familiarity also can mean that when I see things that don't look right, I can tell just by looking at a trial balance with you all, because that's how familiar I am with you. So it's not an internal control, but it is kind of an additional layer because the knowledge I would have. It's not a bad thing to have an auditor with more knowledge of the city than there would be less.
So you think having the same eyes reviewing it is a better option than having a new eye come in and evaluate things?
It depends on the eyes that are looking at it, is basically what I would say. Like, if you all wanted to have different eyes, I've got another partner who's just as qualified as I am, who I would feel more than comfortable putting him on here and making sure that he stayed on it.
What year are you on?
This is year 4.
This is year 4, okay. That's
Yeah.
all. I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, but the fact is 5-year, a lot of people try and do the 5-year rotations. Universities are statutorily required to do that. They're having a hard time finding auditors. If you're going out for bid every 5 years, it's a risk right now. If you're a governmental entity, it is a risk. If you're nonprofit, you literally, you work with Crawford, okay? Crawford frequently is advising most of their clients, if they're like, well, we're supposed to go out for bid every 5 years or whatever, they're like, don't do it. Don't do it. You're running a risk. People won't respond to the bid. And the people who do might end up raising prices or whatever, because it's like, well, now I know I'm gonna have to defend this work every 5 years. So some continuity is actually good. I mean, if I was on this, I would say if I did this for the next 6 years and you said, we need a different eyes to look at it, I would say, let me hand it to my other partner and then I'll take a back seat on this. And then I can still do a final check at the end to make sure that, hey, the things that I know that he might miss because he doesn't have the same knowledge that I do, I can still do a quality review on the back end. Does that make sense? So I don't really think there are best practices anymore in terms of rotating auditors or changing them especially. I know that's probably going to sound like a lot of self-serving bias, but at the same time, I would say you're using a firm that has over 30 clients in the municipal space. We audit 33% of the top 30 cities in the state. So, I mean, we don't do Tulsa, we don't do Oklahoma City. So, but everybody in between there, yeah, we're doing a lot of them. So I think there's just a level of expertise we bring that if you wanted to switch partners within our firm, we're open to that discussion. But
I'm not suggesting that. I was
Yeah.
just asking that. And I truly, I just, again, want to reiterate, I appreciate you. I think you're a wonderful guy. You've been very informative every time, and I truly appreciate your insight
No
and
problem.
your transparency. So
I look
thank
forward
you.
to this meeting every year. Listen, I've said this before. It's kind of sometimes disheartening to spend as much time as we do. I mean, we spend 700 hours on your audit, okay? And I'll go to council meetings, and sometimes it's basically, I come up here, I say a few words, it's deadpan, there's no questions about what we did, and I walk out the door. It's a little more meaningful for me when people are asking questions, so I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
One point, I think you said that you do audits from people making complaints to the government, like the state. Is that correct?
We have assisted with some of those, yes.
So if there was, so from that expertise,
Mm-hmm.
you certainly know what, is that a good analogy, that you would know what to look for if somebody, if we
Yeah.
were cooking the books?
So frequently, the state auditor actually will work with us. When I say work with us, we actually will work with them. So when they go and do an investigation or they're auditing maybe a state agency, they may contract some of that work with us. Just because they're a government agency and they don't have enough staff sometimes to do all the work that's being requested of them. So they will ask us to come and help them on some things. What does that do? Well, it actually lets me kind of take a peek into a lot of different things that would say, hey, if, I'll give you the example, we were the auditors on Epic after all of the stuff. I want to caveat that, after all of the stuff. But if you look at our report from 2021, we had a very big opinion, but that, a very long one, like theirs was like 8 pages, and then we outlined a bunch of findings in there, and there's a whole bunch of information, but there was a lot of, we're going to talk with the state auditor, we want to understand what they found, because I don't want to necessarily contradict them. So I say all of that basically just to say, yes, I mean, we have a good idea of what they look for because we do work with them quite a bit.
So any further questions? So the good news is nobody's going to jail.
As far as I can tell.
Chair to entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Yeah, no kidding.
good job.
We now move into discussion item number 3. Mr. Lyon.
Public hearing, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a minor plat for the property described as a subdivision of Lot 17 and Block 10 of the Poynton City addition in Midwest City, Oklahoma. Mr. Summers.
Thank you. This is a minor plat. The lot in question is a residentially zoned lot on the north side of Lagene Drive, and the applicant is proposing to subdivide that lot into 2 lots. We reviewed the plat. We found that it complied with all the requirements in the zoning and subdivision regulations. We complied with all state, local notification requirements, and we've not received any public inquiries about this application. At the public hearing before the Planning Commission did unanimously recommend approval of this item.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone have anything to bring before council on this item? Seeing none, chair to entertain a
I have
motion to
a
approve.
question.
Well, I have
Yes,
one.
sir.
Yes.
We're doing a lot split, right?
Yes, they would subdivide 1 lot into 2 lots, yes.
No sidewalk or improvements in the street?
They would be required to do all of those improvements.
Okay, just make sure that they're aware of that, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they are aware of that, and there's also a sewer extension that they will have to do as part of this.
Matt, any concerns about drainage or anything from the split?
The city engineer did not have any concerns about drainage with this split. It's, 1 lot into 2. It probably doesn't have a large impact as far as drainage. But if he did have concerns, that would have been something that he would have noted as part of his comments on the staff report.
Man, I believe that this split creates 2 lots of approximately 3.1 acres. I think that's what the number said.
I think each one should be about 0.16 acres.
So it's 3.1 to start with, and then you
Yes.
split that in half.
Yes, that's correct.
In your opinion, what is the ideal lot size in Midwest City? What should a good, usable, flexible home, family home be like, and how much land should they have?
That is a great question. And it really depends a lot on the context that the lot would sit in, the types of homes that are proposed to be built in that area or that exist already in that area. For this particular lot, going from 0.3 of an acre to about 1.5 tenths of an acre, would still fit in. Those lots are still going to be, 10,000 square feet plus in size. So I think that what they're showing here is reasonable. Now, as far as what is the ideal lot size, that depends. There are parts of the city that have, very large lots that are over an acre in size. It might not be appropriate to have a bunch of 6,000 or smaller square foot lots, adjacent to it, just because it would impact the character, but it's always context dependent.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Once again, Chair to entertain a motion to approve. Had a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 4, Mr. Lyon.
Public hearing, discussion, consideration, possible action to approve a special use permit to allow the use of a group care facility as defined in section 4.3.14 of the zoning regulations for the development located at 9077 Northeast 13th Street in Midwest City. Mr. Summers.
This application was withdrawn by the applicant back in, I believe it was in November. We had to put it on the agenda because we had already advertised that there would be a public hearing before the city council. So that's why it appears in your packet, but this item was withdrawn.
So we don't need to take any action?
No, there's no action needed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 5, Mr. Lyon.
Public hearing, discussion, consideration, possible action on an ordinance to rezone the subject property from C3 to an SPUD, simplifying plan unit development with community commercial C3 as the underlying zoning under section 7.44 4A of the Appendix A of the Midwest City Municipal Code, property located at 2001 South Air Depot. Mr. Summers.
Thank you. This is a rezoning application. The applicant on this application does not own the subject property, but he has approval from the property owner of the subject property to make this application on their behalf. The applicant owns a shopping center on Jet Drive, which is to the west of the subject property. The nature of the SPUD that's being requested today would really just change one part of our regulations, and that has to do with signage. They would like to have an off-premise sign on the property on Air Depot on the subject property because they feel their business is suffering from not having appropriate signage, I guess, or ideal signage on the main thoroughfare of South Air Depot. So with this application, we did comply with all state and local notification requirements. We did receive one phone call asking, just what the application was about. The caller didn't express any support or opposition for the application. And at the public hearing before the Planning Commission, there were no comments in support or opposition to the application outside of the applicant. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this item with a 6-1 vote.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone have anything to bring before the council on this item? You want to come forward and state your name and address for the council, please?
My name is Race McDougall. I'm the owner of the property that's designed from the sign, and I'm at 805 Jet Drive. I feel like we're on the backside of that property, and we are starving back there. I've got other businesses back there, and it's actually carrying the business that we're talking about here, and I could really use it. So,
okay. Well, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Summers, I assume that the signage is going to comply with our new sign ordinances and all that would apply?
Outside of I guess, if this is approved, it would comply. The exception that they're needing with this SPUD, not really an exception, but the part that they're amending would be to allow an off-premise sign, which our sign ordinance does not currently allow. This process has been used a handful of other times. I think there's a church just on the other side of Air Depot that comes to mind, was another one that went through a similar process to get off-premise signage approved.
Okay.
The signs aren't there, they're just, the structure of the sign is there, they're just adding.
They're just
another
adding
panel
Yes,
to it.
yes, that's correct.
And our sign ordinance does allow for that. So, any further questions? Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 6, Mr. Lyon.
Public hearing, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a resolution to rename Glendale Avenue to South Glendale Road, described as a part of the northeast quarter of Section 6, Township 11 North, Range 1 West of the Indian Meridian in Oklahoma County. Mr. Summers.
Thank you. So this will kind of, I guess this application is before you, is brought by staff to clarify an issue. There's a discrepancy in terms of how this street has been referred to over the years. It was originally platted as Glendale Avenue. That's how most of our records still show the road. We have street signs, my understanding is on either end, that use different names. And then when we look at, the property records that the county assessor uses in some of their maps, they show the property is South Glendale Road. We did a survey of property owners along the road, and the 6 out of the 7 that responded indicated that they use South Glendale Road and that they would prefer that be the official name. So that's what prompted us to bring this application before you. Is we think it would be easier for us to change our records and one of the street signs to show South Glendale Road and make this sort of tie these all together. We did comply with state and local notification requirements. We did not receive any comments at the public hearing before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone have anything to bring before the council on this item? Hearing or seeing none, Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 7, Mr. Lyon.
Public hearing, discussion, and consideration of possible action on an ordinance to redistrict from a planned unit development to single-family detached residential for the property located at 9017 Nawassa Drive, Midwest City. Mr. Summers.
Thank you. This application, again, was initiated by staff. It was brought to our attention that there was an issue with the zoning on the subject property. The subject property is a single-family residence. It has been for decades and decades. We went back and looked through our zoning records and found that there was an error when a zone change on the adjoining property was completed and approved by council back in 1987. Normally, we would have just corrected the issue with our zoning map that we identified, but when we had readopted our zoning and the new zoning map in 2010, the error was made permanent and adopted by council through no fault of anyone. It just was sort of carried forward, if you will. So this would correct this issue. It would make the use that exists on the site today and has for decades, it would make it a legal use for them to have a single-family residence. It protects the property owner. If the house was to burn down, they could build back a residence on the site. It's supported by the comprehensive plan as well. We did comply with state and local notification requirements on this one, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone have anything to bring before council on this item? Hearing or seeing none, Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 8, Mr. Lyon.
Public hearing, discussion, consideration, possible action to approve an ordinance to redistrict from a simplified plan unit development to a single-family detached residential R6 for the property located at 2606 and 2608 South Post Road. Mr. Summers.
Thank you. This is a rezoning request as well. And this property is located on South Post Road, on the east side of the road across from the high school, or the middle school rather. The applicant is looking to rezone the property from SPUD to R6. It's our single-family residential zoning district. The property was rezoned to that SPUD back in 2018 for a proposed office development that just hasn't materialized. And at this point, sort of like another application that was before you recently, the master plan has expired, so the property would have to be rezoned or a new master plan adopted for the current owner to do really anything with it. So they proposed to rezone it to single family. They had a concept plan that they submitted as part of the application that shows that they intend to build a road and have single family lots access off of that road rather than off of South Post Road directly. We did comply with state and local notification requirements. We did not receive any public inquiries regarding the application, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval.
Matt, how many houses could they possibly build in there?
I think conceptually, they were showing about 6.
How
Now,
many?
6 lots. Now, sort of the configuration of the property, they would build, or at least what they're thinking right now is that they would build a cul-de-sac on the north side, of the 2 lots that make up the subject property. And so these 6 lots would all be on the south side. There would maybe be the potential that at some point in the future, property on the north side could also develop, and I assume if it's a public road, would have access to that road. At this time, they're showing 6 lots.
But they're not thinking anything like gated area or that you're aware
Not
of,
that
at least
I'm
at this
aware of.
point?
Not that I'm aware
So the possibility of 8 houses up in there?
of. It would be 6. It would be 6.
Not an issue with the fact that they scalped the lot.
That's something that they will have to work on as they move, should this move forward. It's not, we wanted to make sure it was noted so that you all were aware, but it's an issue that they would have to address at the preliminary plat stage.
And they know that, correct?
Yes.
I have a question on that, Mr. Summers.
Yes.
If I buy a piece of land in Midwest city limits and it's got a lot of trees on it, am I allowed to cut them down? And if so, do I have to ask somebody's permission? Because it seems like this guy's getting called to the carpet after the fact. It was his land and he decided to cut the trees down, and now he's in a little bit of hot water from the zoning regulation on that, and I wonder why.
Yeah, so I guess it's a complicated answer. It's sort of yes and no. If you had a lot that had a house on, your house, and you needed to trim your trees, or, one is diseased or something, you want to take it down, there's not any approval that you need from us to do that. What this is in place for is, we don't want people to necessarily clear their lot and then come and seek approval for development afterwards, just because trees offer a lot of benefits to communities, from whether it's a stormwater perspective or just an urban canopy perspective to reduce the heat island effects, things like that. So this is in place to protect future development sites from being clear cut and sort of keeping us from maintaining some of those urban forest areas that could have been saved. But obviously, yeah, as far as, if somebody just owns a lot and has no intention of further development, there would not seem to be anything that would keep them from cutting down trees on their property. So it's a complicated answer.
I will put one caveat to that. We do have city ordinances that deal with the destruction or removal of trees that are in public right-of-ways. So that is a caveat, but obviously we're on private property here, so as far as I can tell in our ordinance, and we have an entire chapter called trees in chapter 42, so, but it looks like it basically just applies, removal of trees just to those trees in a public right-of-way.
Well, I love trees and, I wish we had more, but I'm just a little concerned if we start putting restrictions on when you can cut the trees down on your own property. That kind of bothers me a little bit.
Yeah.
But with it being a spud, then technically there was no problems with them cutting the trees down then, right? Because whenever he removed the trees, there's no issue, somewhat similar to 15th and Moore.
Well, I think some of the 15th and Moore predated me, so I can't necessarily speak to that. In the case here, the issue that doesn't necessarily crop up when they're applying for their zone change, but it is more, because it's in the requirement is in the subdivision regulations, it gets triggered when they come before Planning Commission and you all to plat the property. So because they're looking to subdivide this potentially into residential lots later, and they did clear the lots, sort of anticipation of that development before they had their approval from Planning Commission and you all, that's where they're kind of in a spot where they're going to have to do the tree mitigation plan.
Any further questions? You understand that's going to add to an already traffic problem over there?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a traffic problem.
A big traffic problem. Is there any further? Huh? All the time.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Rick. I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 9, Mr. Lyon.
Public hearing, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a preliminary plat for the property described as a tract of land lying in the northeast quarter of Section 14, Township 11 North, Range 2 west of the Indian Meridian. Mr. Summers.
Thank you. This is a preliminary plat application for the Sentinel Square project at the southwest corner of Southeast 29th Street and Douglas Boulevard. The applicant is seeking approval of the preliminary plat to subdivide the property into 4 buildable lots, 3 common area lots, and then there would be 1 lot that would have the existing billboard. The site is about 14.5 acres in size, and if this application is approved, they can proceed with submitting construction plans to our engineering department for review. We did comply with state and local notification requirements, and the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of this application.
This is a public hearing. Does anyone have anything to bring before council on this item? Hearing, seeing none, Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Just one thing that I would ask. So as you're driving down 29th Street heading eastbound, that curb sticks out there and causes a lot of problems where I see that we almost have accidents a lot of times because people that are in the outside lane go into the inside lane going eastbound. Is there a possibility that that's going to be addressed?
Yes,
once
it's
we get
all,
there?
yeah, we're going to have to rip out that entire intersection and redo it, and in addition to making a decel lane into this, and we're going to have to potentially put a traffic light in there as well, so.
It's my understanding that ODOT was supposed to correct that because they created that
Yeah,
problem.
we didn't create it.
Yeah.
That is true.
I knew, but.
But we
that
will
was-
correct it.
Very good, thank you.
Which one of the items that we agreed to earlier, we're going to resurface from that intersection all the way to Westminster, right?
Yes, so there's several projects going on Southeast 29th, and I'll just give you a little bit of the highlight there. The particular area that you're talking about, Councilmember Favors, there's a Southeast 29th and Douglas intersection project. It's currently under design. We're at 90% plans on that one, and that will address that little bump out and that shift in the lanes, kind of correct that to make that a little bit easier. Then the other that you saw on the consent agenda is an ODOT funding agreement for improvements to Southeast 29th from the end of the Douglas intersection project down to Westminster.
So that will be addressed all before everything else is done there, I'm assuming, hopefully?
That's the plan. I'm still learning the process with ODOT. It's a much slower process than I thought it was, but we're hoping that we should have the Southeast 29th and Douglas intersection project bid later this year. I'm hoping by the fall that'll be under construction.
So ODOT's going to be finished and we're going to be tearing up.
Yeah, it sounds like a great plan.
That is accurate.
That's the way it's supposed to happen.
Joy.
Any further discussion? Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you.
I make
Chair
a
to
motion
entertain a
to
motion to
approve.
approve? Oh,
I
did
make
you have
a
another
motion-
question?
No, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. And that ends the Matt Summers show, correct?
We hope so.
Not a hiccup anywhere. We move into item number 10, Mr. Lyon.
Now it's my turn.
Discussion, consideration, possible action approving the purchase of 2813 Park Lawn Drive in Midwest City for the amount of $315,000 plus any closing costs, delegating to the city manager authority to execute all documents to make the purchase effective.
Good evening again. This piece of property is a part of the Plaza 62 project that we've discussed here many times. It is one of the last properties we need to purchase in this area. This is the Dr. McBride optometric location. If you recall, especially Mark, this was discussed with Ridgecrest, and they agreed they wanted Burlingame extended down to National, that we have to take this property to make that occur. We originally had this appraised for $265,000 by our appraiser. Unfortunately, our appraiser has now passed away. So when we started this, the current owners, according to the county clerk's office, are both deceased as well, and there has not been a probate. So we did notify each one of the 5 children pursuant to the obituaries that we read. Luckily, one of the daughters, her husband is an attorney, so he took the bull by the reins, so to speak, and hired an appraiser who came in at $315,000. We think this is a very fair amount of money, because for us, we would have to go back and reappraise everything, and even our appraisal then could be higher. And their offer was, if you'll cover closing costs and pay us $315,000, we'll work through the probate and get you your property as soon as possible. So we believe that this is a very fair offer and would request approval. so that we could acquire that last property and make sure we can continue the project along. This piece of property is very important to the project, as it will house not only extending Burlingame at the end, but during the interim, the temporary or short-term entrance and exit for emergency first responding vehicles from the hospital, from the ambulances, to come in and out this location. So this is very important that we do acquire this. I'm happy to take any questions.
I have a question. I think it's related to the same property. I recall a few months ago, we needed to obtain a certain parcel for this very project, and there was a property owner that, like, I guess didn't want to sell, wasn't interested, and there was conversations of eminent domain or possible use of it. And I think he attended one of the council meetings, and there was a pastor trying to resolve that. I noticed that there was another parcel that was mentioned in it. So was that issue resolved?
Yes, we've already acquired, in fact, we've already acquired that property. We've already started demolition of that building, and that the equipment has been moved out of that. That is completely done. In fact, that demolition of that other site, done this week, right?
No, the lady, mobilization, assets that removed the building.
So, well, unfortunately, due to the weather, well, I should have
be
thought
down
about that,
soon.
but that one will be demolished
Well,
very
great
soon.
work negotiating on that and resolving.
Yeah,
the issue.
that one's been completely resolved. We own that property now.
Awesome.
Yeah, we negotiated through that.
Well,
Yes.
I'll move to approve unless someone has questions.
The one that we're not going to have to eminent domain, correct?
No condemnation.
No, this will, by us doing this, this will replace condemnation. This is us agreeing to purchase the property.
Say that again. Say that again.
We will not need to condemn the property, as we have agreed to a purchase price if this is approved by the city council, so that we will not have to go through complete a condemnation of this property, but we will just acquire it through purchase.
So, last I read in the Beacon, they were still debating over it. They're saying now we have an agreement with the family.
This is the family's offer that is before you. Their attorney has made this offer to our attorney.
Okay, thanks.
I
Okay, I
think
do
that's
have a
good.
motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'm glad it was an amicable decision. Since there is a business in there, they're having to move to another location.
Yes.
Was the compensation for the move somehow incorporated into this sales figure?
We have not, this is only the appraised value. That may be considered a part of the closing cost that you're giving the city manager the approval to be able to deal with.
I would like to see that happen if it's
Very good.
possible. And
I do have a motion and a second.
Just one more question. Did Dr. McBride stay in Midwest City, or did he?
He died.
No,
No,
not
no.
the, not the
This is the
father.
son.
Not the
Not
the
the
son,
No.
to my knowledge, yes, he is just moving within a mile of this location.
And please extend our appreciation to the family for doing,
Yes,
giving for the
we have
public
more,
interest.
we have more than once. We're very appreciative
Okay,
of
I'm
that.
going to make a
family.
point of order. I have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
yes,
Opposed?
Grouchy Pants.
Well, inquiring minds need to improve your timing. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 11, Mr. Lyon.
Discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a resolution declaring the intent of the City Council of the City of Midwest City, Oklahoma, to consider designating of a portion of the city for a statutory reinvestment area, and to consider the creation of a tax increment finance district pursuant to Oklahoma law, creating the Midwest City Local Development Act Review Committee, determining membership of the committee, designating the manner and term of appointment of committee members, providing for meetings of the review committee, establishing officers, determining voting rights and quorum, directing the review committee to consider proposed project plans and make any findings and the recommendations required by law, directing the Midwest City Planning Commission to consider the proposed project, plan or plans, and make any recommendations required by law, and containing other provisions related thereto. Mr. Coleman.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, I'll go ahead and cover items 11 and 12. 11 is the authority to take a look at the possibility of establishing our fourth tax increment finance district. This will be set up to possibly repay us for the expenses that we incur with the development of the Sentinel Square project, which the preliminary plat you saw is item 9, I believe. But we may look at expanding this district a little bit further out because we have other ideas and some things we would like to do in the area. We've got about plus or minus $9.3 million tied up in this plus or minus 15 acre development. We started making acquisitions shortly before my arrival in 2014, followed by a second buy in 2015 when we expected the movie theater to go there. Movie theater went to Sooner Rose. We kept our eye on the property. We looked for other opportunities. In fact, this council actually approved a contract with another developer at one time that backed out of building a shopping center there. We sat on the property. We finally got an opportunity to buy the corner toward the middle of last year, I think it was. We closed in the latter part of the year. So we own that whole area over there. It's a great piece of ground. It's got some challenges. The grade is not perfect. There have been environmental issues for a variety of reasons. So it wasn't the cheapest piece of property to purchase, and it's not the cheapest piece to make ready. With that said, there's about 100,000 cars a day that goes by there, and that number's only going to go up over the next couple of years. At the end of our agreement with Sooner Development, we've got about a $508,000 contract with Sooner Investment Development Company to get us through the preliminary work towards doing the subdivision, and we'll have a decision to either possibly sell it to them or stop or continue the development. We're not ready to cross that bridge yet, but in any case, we would like to go ahead and establish or take a look at establishing a tax increment finance district to pay back the cost if we decide to proceed with the deal. The next item is just the appointment of the normal taxing entity representatives that you would have that would sit in on the Local Development Act Review Committee, in addition to Vice Mayor Byrne, who has chaired 2 TIFs so far successfully, and the appointment of Chairman of the Planning Commission Chairman Russell Smith, who was selected by the Planning Commission at their last meeting to act on their behalf. I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
I have some. Okay, so there was a portion or language about the possibility of selling the property to the developer. But if this item is approved, does that determine that the land will be sold, or that's something that could be decided upon in the future? It doesn't necessarily mean we are going to sell.
We're not sure exactly what the property is worth until we have it appraised, and we've got a contract out right now for someone to do an appraisal. Obviously, they're backed up, and it's not easy to do. So we hope to have that appraisal back here in the next month or so, long before we have to make a decision whether we want to sell it, whether we want to develop it ourselves, or whether we just want to sit on the property.
If there is an ask or a desire to sell it, would that come before this council for consideration and a vote? So this particular vote doesn't automatically mean we can go.
No, you'd have to prove a real estate contract in open session.
I personally need to get a little bit more educated on that, probably from yourself, because I know there are certain developments where we own the land, the developer owns the building on top of it. I don't know what the better deal for the people is. Ultimately, I absolutely have no issues, encourage the appointment of Vice Mayor Byrne and as well as Mr. Smith, because I know they both have a lot of experience with these TIFs. My only question is, could this item wait till April?
No. The problem that you run into is there's a but-for clause. Would this development happened if you hadn't done this? We don't know what that delta is going to be between what it's going to take to get this property to a point where the land would reflect a value where we could actually get tenants out there that would be desirable, versus if we price it too high and then we're mowing it for the next however many years like we have been. We need to get the district set up if that's what we're going to do, and that's really the only means we have of repaying ourselves for any part of this expense. Sales tax, this is the hospital authority, and as you know, we can't do what we want to with sales tax. Other cities do, we can't because our sales tax is earmarked. So the TIF district represents one of the only ways we can repay the hospital authority for everything that's been done so far.
Let me see, yes.
And remember, I mean, from past meetings and some executive sessions on business development, that we're working on letters of intent. This is a continuous movement as we continue to work on that. Any of those, as Robert said, any of the deals that come through will come back to this council, no matter.
So Tim, and maybe you can address this. I guess the only hesitation I have after the clarification on the fact that we're not making a decision to sell anything tonight by approving this is the concern of the taxation without representation for Ward 1 residents who don't currently have a sitting council member. How would you address that?
Well, it's not in Ward 1, but this is money that the city has spent through the hospital authority. The only way for the authority to get the investment back is to do the TIF, because in the long term, working out a development agreement for the businesses that come there is very difficult these days. Brick and mortar is very difficult, so it is not it is going to be difficult for us to ever get our money back without going through a TIF process.
Really,
If I may-
this isn't a taxation without representation deal. We're not raising taxes and we're not taxing them without going through the process. This is just to solidify our financial issues so we can move forward to develop this property. That really doesn't.
If I may clarify something, we're not doing anything other than saying the committee can meet. We're appointing the representatives from the taxing entities to the committee. The committee will meet. They will have one meeting where they will take a list of 7 citizens that are interested in serving on the committee. The committee will pick 3 of those 7, and I really need one more if you know someone. So they'll pick 3 of those 7, and then there'll be another meeting, and that's when we get into the project plan, the bolts and the nuts of what we're going to do out there. That may last 3 or 4 meetings. After the project plan is recommended by approval by the Local Development Act Review Committee, then it has to go to the Planning Commission to see that it conforms with the comprehensive plan. Well, what are we doing right now? We're building a new comprehensive plan. So I hope those two coincide. I think there's a chance that they will. But we can't sit around and wait and hope that we have the timing right to beat the first building permit on this piece of ground. So the project plan goes to the Planning Commission, then we have to have 2 public hearings before the adoption of the ordinance that allows the Tax Increment Finance District to proceed. So at the very least, we're talking 60 days, and could be 90, could be more. I don't know. Those are things we all have to, we're going to have to look at.
I think it makes total reasonable sense to me as far as, time is of the essence, and we need to proceed, we can't wait. And I appreciate both Tim and the mayor's feedback. And Mayor, just for my small brain, who doesn't understand TIFs as well as Pat does here, you're right, we're not increasing taxes and we're not adding a new tax, but we're taking a portion of the sales tax, would it be in Ward 1 alone?
Not the sales tax, it'd be the ad valorem.
Ad valorem, okay,
There's
beautiful.
no sales tax involved, it's
There's
just
no
ad
sales
valorem.
tax involved. This is all ad valorem that will come back to the city as a result of the TIF.
The one thing you got to remember, sir, right now, we're getting 0 ad valorem taxes off, we don't get anything off the
Okay.
dirt that we own. So that's, the quicker we get into this, the quicker the return will be, and the quicker it'll go on, because like I said, in executive sessions, everybody knows what the hope is, and that will generate some sales tax.
Okay, I am really glad I asked that question, so thank you for that clarification. That's all, thanks.
Even before we owned this, I think the total ad valorem assessment for all 15 acres was less than $10,000. It was a very small amount. I may be off a little there. So we're going to take a piece of ground and we're going to make substantial improvements to it that will raise the value exponentially. And the difference between the original base assessment and what it's worth after all the work is completed out there, that ad valorem will go back toward the debt or back toward the reimbursement of what we got into it. Once the district is paid off, and we can't exceed 20 years without more permission from council, and we can't go 25 without a whole new meeting of the group, once that's paid off, just like we did in Town Central Plaza years ago, then it goes back on the tax rolls at the increased value. School benefits, all the taxing entities that are going to be a part of this group will benefit.
We can't,
Okay.
and just so you know, Sarah, we can't get this TIF established without school board, health department, library, county.
VOTEC.
We just can't say, we're going to do it. There's other people that are going to have to say, okay, we trust you to do it. And that's, like I said, the school system, health department, there's a lot of library.
We've got really good credit we want to maintain in Oklahoma County.
Any further questions of Mr. Coleman? Hearing or seeing none, Chair to entertain a motion to approve. We need to vote on each item separately. So item number 11, Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 12, Chair to entertain a motion to approve. I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 13, Mr. Lyons.
Discussion, consideration, and possible action approving a guaranteed maximum GMP construction management contract with AC Owens Construction, Inc. for the renovation of the Midwest City Senior Center in an amount not to exceed $1,164,383. Mr. Sullivan.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I believe the memo is fairly thorough. I appreciate Mr. Meisch and Ms. Hancock in their efforts to help ACO and Construction and myself get through this bid process. All bid tabulations are included in your packet. All bids that were required by law to be bid publicly have been done so and advertised according to the law. We're very pleased with the number that we came in with, and we're ready to award. Just to refresh your memory, a guaranteed maximum price contract is a construction management delivery method that AC Owen will deliver the project for the amount in the contract. There's contingency included, which will help us to fund any unforeseen expenses, which most of you understand anytime you get into renovation, you find stuff, right, that you didn't expect. So we're very pleased. We're working with AC Owen Construction on a number of other projects. They have done work for our city in the past, and we're ready to get started. They're ready to get started.
I have one question, and I was reminded of this by Ward 7 tonight about how many people go there to eat. Will this cut down them going over there for their meals, and if so, for how long?
We plan to continue to deliver meals, Councilman Byrne, throughout this process. If we may be temporarily displaced to another location, and we have options where we can do that. We do not plan to stop the meals program. No, sir.
And Mr. Burns, I was over there last week, and the staff has done an excellent job of planning for this and how they're going to shift things around. Ms. Sullivan, I want to thank you for bringing, there's going to be a lot of happy seniors with this renovation, myself included, since I are one. But
We both qualify to go, sir.
I noticed in your plan you didn't have designated a pinochle room in your plan.
Oh, no.
Ms. Maxwell, we have plenty of room for pinochle, canasta, spades. We're going to have more room than we've ever had before.
I know.
The building footprint is not changing, but the efficiency of the layout will be much improved.
It's wonderful.
And you will
what
love the
guys
new
are doing.
bathrooms, I promise.
Yeah. It's wonderful what you guys are doing over there because I go there to play pinochle and other things, but if you guys haven't been there, come over. We'll teach you pinochle. And I really do appreciate the upgrade.
For some reason, I'm getting jealous of these senior citizens and all the amenities.
Those ladies over there provide a wonderful service, Ms. Maxwell, as you know.
Benjamin will
And they're much loved, and we are thrilled to have a center like that.
I think this
It's
is
very
money
nice.
well spent. And can I make a motion?
You bet.
I make a motion that we approve.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries.
Thank you. Let's get to
Item
work, Connor.
14, Mr. Lyon.
Discussion concerning the proposed 5/8 of a 1% sales tax increase by Oklahoma County to assist in funding public safety operations and improvements for Oklahoma County.
Need to explain to the council and to the people that are out there listening. Sarah made a comment earlier that we're getting along. If you'd been here a couple years ago, you'd have noticed that we were not even close to being in the same county, let alone getting along. Well, Sarah approached me, about 2 months ago because of the deal with the county sales tax for the jail. And she had been approached by another elected official from another body who was wanting us to join in with them to kind of have a united front on trying to get some representation for eastern Oklahoma County with everything that's going on with the jail and how they're trying to build it. And a lot of it was driven by the way that some of us feel that the location was kind of jammed down Del City's throat. So Sarah reached out to me, and then we got the mayor involved in it. And since there can only be 3 of us, we stopped it at that. But we started meeting with some representatives from Del City, a representative from the school board. We had a state official that was involved. And we started to try to talk, okay, what are we going to do? How do we proceed with this? Because we know at some point they're going to come to us and want us to support this. And we had been promised a few years ago that if we would support the original bond issue, that they would never come back to us for a sales tax. So this group got together, and there was a letter that was composed by the mayor, and he has done some work to get some other mayors involved. And I'm speaking for myself now. I'm not opposed to the jail, or I'm not even opposed to them getting a new jail. But the issue I'm opposed to as a citizen and as people I represent is, even if you look at what was reported today by the Daily Oklahoman, there was a meeting yesterday at the county about the jail, and they're $5 million short, and they're talking about not being able to feed the inmates. One, they're just going to be able to maybe feed them twice a day, and there's a lot of other things that are going on, and they're wanting us to support their endeavor when they're going to be broke before they even get to the end of the fiscal year. So we're hoping to get together and support that we're in this together with other communities, that we're not trying to say we don't need a jail. I don't think anybody wants to say that, but there's got to be a a mechanism in place where some fiscal responsibility, because we're not seeing it. Sarah, I'll let you go from there.
Thank you. I think that gives a really great context. And you are right. We don't always agree on every aspect of the conversations around the jail. I think on this particular issue, it's a matter of financial responsibility and accountability. We have a county government that unfortunately cannot balance its own budget. We have trusted them, the good people, the hardworking people of this county gave them that bond money with the belief that they were not going to come back and hit us up for a sales tax or increasing the ad valorem. They were deceitful, these are my words. And now they want to come and create a first time, well, not a first time, we had a previous sales tax, but that had a sunset to build the current jail. Now they want to come back for a never-ending sales tax, which is basically cutting into the coffers of our city and the money that we need to maintain and enhance our city. And and this, again, my personal belief, until we can see financial stewardship and accountability for the money that they have now, I don't think we need to continue funneling any more money into the county. And that's the thing. And the other piece of it, on a humanitarian level, over 56 people have died in 5 years under the poor management of the jail trust. They can't even budget for this annual. And how many millions of dollars are they short for the new jail that they're trying to build?
Several million were, what was it, 500 million they're short?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean,
To,
in the one statement that just went all over me from one of the commissioners was, we never promised them this was the only thing that was going to pay for this jail. They should have never expected this bond issue was going to pay for all of it. Come on, people.
to caveat both what Pat said and Councilwoman Banna said, anybody that's listened to me over the last 10 years knows that in Oklahoma, we are the only state in the union that requires municipalities to operate off a sales tax. Back in 2017, Midwest City took a step and increased our sales tax to 9.1% to level out our finances and be able to level out our fund balances. For the county to come forward and propose any kind of sales tax is ludicrous. Number one, nobody from Oklahoma County has come and talked to us about this plan, nor have they talked to any other mayors in Oklahoma County. That would put our sales tax right above 10% if this passed. And that affects us how? Because other people will be going to other communities and other counties to shop. That puts us behind the power curve. Plus, too, Pat and Sarah both touched on the fact that tonight you got to hear our auditor come forward and said, we got a clean audit, nobody's going to jail. I can't say that about Oklahoma County if they were audited. There's been, if you look at the history of the Oklahoma County Jail, it has been mismanaged since it occupied the first 3 floors of the Oklahoma County courthouse. This has been going on for eons. They've failed to properly fund it, they've failed to properly manage it, and they're asking you and us, the taxpayers of Oklahoma County, to fork out 5.8% of our sales tax and go to further mismanagement. I personally just can't advocate for that. There's not anybody in Oklahoma County that doesn't believe that we need a new jail, we need a new facility. They should have thought about this years ago. That building was a disaster the day it opened. 2 days after the Oklahoma County Jail opened, there was a sheet hanging down from the 3rd floor where a prisoner escaped by pushing out the windows that they had put in. So, like Pat and Sarah said, we're coming together as a group to ask that we oppose this sales tax increase, although the one that was proposed last week at the commissioners meeting failed to gain a second, so it didn't go any further. Another commissioner says he's got another plan, but it also increases or calls for an increase in sales tax. I personally will be coming out very vocal against this as Matt Dukes, not as the mayor of Midwest City, and we're kind of asking the rest of you to get on board with us. Not as signatories to the letter, but just to agree that this is a bad thing for our community. There's 22 communities in Oklahoma County. I've spoken to the mayor of Edmond and the mayor of Harrah, and both are in agreement that it's a bad idea. And one thing Pat makes clear, Midwest City has our own jail. Our misdemeanor offenders stay in our jail. They don't go downtown. The Oklahoma County Jail also acts as the Oklahoma City Jail. They are the largest users of that jail. We put in about 1.5, I forget, Chief, 1.5 prisoners per week in the Oklahoma County Jail. It fluctuates, but nowhere near what Oklahoma County, and we're asked to take on the brunt of the cost of this jail. And to me, it's just not fair. So that's kind of the crux of this. I did pen a letter, and all the people involved in this have gotten a copy of that letter. We're going to meet next week to see what our movement is forward. And I would ask that if the rest of the council has any input, please let us know. But that's kind of the overarching view that we have. And it's time we just stand up and say no. Mismanagement is mismanagement. We operate our city clean. I can't say that for Oklahoma County. And if they're watching, God bless you. So, is there any further questions? There's really no action needed on this item?
Mayor, it's not a Democrat or Republican thing. It's not a personality issue thing. It's a policy thing. And really, if there are questions or concerns on behalf of any of our colleagues, if the mayor allows, I'd like to address it or hear it. I think it's really important for our future mayor, as well as us as a collective body, to stand together and say, you are not going to invade we're going to protect our municipal taxpayers and our residents, and we want accountability from our county government. So if you're okay with it, if there is anyone that wants to, has a question or concern, like to voice it, and maybe we could discuss it now, and maybe have a collective agreement that we stand, united on that.
Very good.
And since the letter came out prior, we had planned on addressing this tonight, but the letter came out a little earlier than we thought Del City had their
The
meeting.
mention of it did,
So
yes.
we felt like we really needed to, like I said, you have to be careful with how many people get together, and we weren't trying to be deceptive or anything. We were just, hey, is this something we want to do? Is this something we don't want to do? And everybody in the room says, no, we want to move forward with this. We've got to speak as one. Put our differences aside, and it's not an activist or a non-activist. This is a fiscal deal, and when you got the guy that's running the jail now says we can, quote unquote, we can go from 3 meals a day to 2 meals a day to whatever. I mean, that's not the kind of that. Or then he says it's probably going to be ugly. We'll have to cut. I'll have to cut every place I can find. Cut services. What do you want me to tell you? I guess we could start having bake sales out front. I mean, this is who's leading the charge. I'm thinking, you can't. We have to speak up.
Well, I'm sure everybody has opinions about the jail. Personally, I regretted the day that the sheriff relinquished control of the jail. I think it's rightfully their responsibility, and I'd like to see a return to that. Other people have other ideas. I don't like the mismanagement. I don't like the bullying techniques that the county commissioners seem to use to force that location on Del City. But those are just personal opinions. But my experience in anything is that once this sales tax is approved, our opinions don't matter anymore. So as long as we fight the funding for the jail, they are going to have to come back to us and negotiate, like us being the people. And everybody's opinion will have a chance to be heard. So if we just sit back and let them vote in a 5/8% of a sales tax, they'll have all the money they need, and they'll have all the control that they need, and they won't care a flip about what you or I or anybody else thinks. So from that point of view, I am all in favor of digging our feet in and opposing the tax increase at this time until the questions have been answered and more fully vetted.
Well, there are other funding issues that they could go after, and they haven't. They just, I don't know. So that's basically for information only. I appreciate the engagement. We'll be coming back to the council fairly quickly on our route forward as soon as we're able to come together and meet.
And Mayor, thank you for your courage and for your leadership, seriously.
No problem. All right, item 15, Mr. Lyon.
Presentation of the new Midwest City OK.org website by our Communications and Marketing Department. Mr. Mr.
Mayor,
Josh
council,
Ryan.
city manager, thank you,
Looks
sir.
very nice tonight.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
not
No
asking
bow tie. I'm not asking for money.
I'm not asking for money,
I'm not
so
asking for
bow tie,
money.
right?
This neck would swallow up a bow tie anyway. This is not just a labor of love, this project, but a labor of necessity. We needed to get a new website with updated features, and you never realize how much you have. Is kind of like moving to a new house. You never know how much junk you got until you try to put it in a car and move down the street, right? We kind of experienced that with this website project. Started off with a cut sheet project where I'm actually asked to, hey, what are we going to eliminate? And I'm looking at 650 pages worth of content that needed to be removed. What we did is, and what we continue to do, we're still working on it, but I think we've come up with a product for you that is going to increase efficiency, not just for the users who put information into that all across the city from different departments, but also for the users out in the public who are looking for services. We're focusing this website on providing those services and getting people navigating them more quickly to what they need. I think we've accomplished two things with this design, which is, Don asked me specifically, can you improve the search tool? Yes, we can do that. We have a search tool that works now, and we have the ability to embed information into these pages that get people to what they're looking for more quickly. And the other thing that I've experienced is users telling me, the people that have looked at it so far, because I'm encouraging our employees to go in there, flip through the pages, look for things that are either broken links or, all the things that you do with a new website. And they're telling me, oh, stuff is where I expect it to be. That's always the best feedback. That is the one thing that I wanted to accomplish with this. And I think what I want to continue to accomplish with this as we continue to add information to this site that users need is that when they go up and navigate in our menus, the mega menus, break it down into the sub pages, they're getting to the content that they are actually looking for, and it's where they expect it to be. That's what I want to accomplish with this. So what you're looking at right now is actually just a mock-up of what the homepage is right now. Of course, we have the ability to add, I'm excited about this, some new header photos and banner photos and things like that can showcase our city and what our city looks like. And on the right, you're looking at what that same page looks like in the mobile version. So you've got your quick graphic buttons that link to the services and the information that people are looking for. Trash and recycling and animal welfare always at the top of our Google Analytic information. So people are going to those pages very frequently. If you'll advance to the next slide, please. Right here, you scan down just a little bit more. This is going to be kind of what our news flash section looks like when we've got big stuff going on and we want to spotlight it and highlight it in the middle of the page. But what's best about this is those navigation buttons at the top on the right and on the left, they're in the red. Those travel with the page as you scroll. So you're never going to lose kind of that nice navigation that you see right there. And of course, that's desktop version on the left, mobile on the right. If you'll advance the next slide, please. Maybe. There we go. And at the bottom of that homepage, what you're seeing right here is really what the improved calendar will look like for events and neighborhood meetings and also public meetings. So that will be populated and stay accessible right there on the homepage. They don't have to dig in any deeper to get to the meetings or the things that they're interested in, special events and stuff like that. On the right, that actually shows a mobile version of one of the drop-down menus. I've renamed that I Want To. It's not How Do I anymore. I actually changed that today. I want to. Well, I want to apply for jobs. I want to contact the city for a particular thing. I want to find this. There's going to be a running list of items in that section that people are going to find very handy to get to the things that they're looking for all the time, that are the busiest pages. And on the next page, please. There you see, just digging a little bit deeper into, there's the crew right there on the left. There's your new council page, and we can build all of that stuff. The neat thing about this is we can build that in one location, drop it into this page. We only have to change the information in one location. It populates to multiple pages for us where we've built those tools in. And on the right, you actually see what they call our subheader or department header pages, which is, that's going to be the new
Experience Midwest City, which is for the Convention and Visitors Bureau. That's the new Experience Midwest City page on the top. And on the bottom there, that's the new economic development page that Robert and Benny Fulkerson have been working on to move all of Robert's information over there. So he's got a new economic development site as well. And I am open to any questions that you have. That's just kind of a taste of how the website is going to operate. We'd be glad to answer any of your questions. We are looking at, so we were hoping Thursday. That's not going to happen. We ran into a few more design things, and I've got to tell you that when you're working on a project like this, it helps to have a team like Civic Plus to be as responsive as they've had. I mean, we've done over 20 hours of training. I've done individual meetings with them. They have responded to each one of our design issues. I'm hoping third week in February. I don't want it to be after February, but third week in February is my deadline right now.
Any questions? No actions needed on this.
No action. We appreciate Josh and his team.
Yes,
He's
very
put a lot
much.
of work into this, a lot of thought, and we appreciate it.
Is there a way to report potholes?
Contact us is going to be right there on the front page,
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have an executive session attached to this agenda. The chair would entertain a motion to recess from the council. Oh, whoa, thank you. We now move into new business public discussion. Anyone have anything to bring before the council? Glenn, you're on deck.
Glenn Goldschlager, 1409 Evergreen Circle, Midwest City. I'm coming up on 25 years since I've been attending these meetings. And
God
we have
bless you.
555 of the finest city employees anywhere in the country. But people misunderstand sometimes what they do and how they do it. Take for granted, let's talk a police officer pulls somebody over for speeding, and there's a warrant for his arrest. Well, they're going to arrest him on the warrant. We all take that for granted. He's doing his job. But a code enforcement officer goes into a neighborhood because he's been called to the neighborhood, and they don't just do one house, he does all the houses on the block. It's not because he's mad, upset, or trying to get back at anybody. It's his job. The only difference between a code and a law is a code is created by a city and a law is created by the state or the federal government. It's not any less a law or any less needed to be done. Our codes are all easily available. You've been working on that. It's wonderful. We will have the most modern codes in the state. It takes a lot of work. People say you can't find them. Well, they're easily to find. Just ask Siri or ask Google, and it'll come up on your phone. That's how easy it is to find our codes. These 555 people don't just do a job because they feel like it. Every single one of them, there's a reason why they're doing it. And as city officials, you need to do more than simply represent them. You need to be educators. When somebody comes to you with a question or a complaint about something because an employee's doing this, that, or the other thing, don't just agree with them. Find out what it is. You tell Tim, Tim will get with the department head will give you an explanation, go back to the citizen. He may not agree with it, he may not even like it, but he will understand it. We can't pay our city employees what they deserve, but we can appreciate each and every one of them. And that's how we do that, is by educating the public as to what they're doing and why they're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. She marked out. Okay. Ms. Boyd, would you like to address the council?
Good evening. I've been living in Midwest City for about 3 years. That's when I purchased my home.
Could you state your name and address for us?
Kaya Boyd, 613 Country Club Circle. So I live in a neighborhood with mainly elderly and a lot of veterans, such as myself. And I've noticed in the past year or so, we've had an influx of a lot of like homeless people and drug users coming into the neighborhood. I just had someone across the street from me car broken into early in the morning. And, you know, I came here on behalf of the other elderly people on my street because they're really nice to me and we're all very neighborly. And I just want to know what kind of safety measures are going to be put into place for them because they're a very easy target, and it's been a lot of that in the neighborhood. Like, I've been seeing people. I came home one day, someone was on my front lawn, and I'm like, and she was high, obviously. I called the cops. They said there's not much they can do about it, but I do believe that it should be better safety measures put in place for the vulnerable elderly people that live on and a lot of veterans and stuff too. So just want to know what can be done about that, because.
Well, ma'am, unfortunately, this isn't a agenda item, so we can't engage in a back and forth conversation with you. But
Okay.
I would direct you back to the chief of police back here in the back.
Okay.
And go back and talk to him, and he can get you directed.
Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
And not specifically to address you, but anybody else who has a similar question, we have neighborhood associations that are active and meet. In that particular neighborhood, there is one that's very active that I'm personally aware of. And they have a police officer who comes to every meeting who is able to discuss and ameliorate any issues like safety issues in the neighborhood. So neighborhood associations are one option.
Okay, once again, we do have an executive session attached to this agenda. I would request a motion to recess from the council agenda and move forward with the rest of the agendas.
Motion to recess.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. I call to order the Midwest City Municipal Authority. We have a consent agenda with this. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the council members by unanimous consent can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any council member requests to discuss an item, or if there's not unanimous consent, then the item will be removed and heard in regular order. The chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I
All in
would like
favor
to
indicate
remind,
by- What?
I just want to make it clear to everybody, there's 34 pages of attachments to these items, and I read every page of it.
You get a gold star for the night.
And I expect probably everybody else did too. So I wanted to make it clear that even though we do this as a consent, it doesn't mean we haven't studied the items and taken due consideration of them, because there's background material on each one. So with that being said, I shut up.
Thank you. I do have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We move into new business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, we are adjourned, and I call to order the hospital authority. There's consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the council members can, by unanimous consent, approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any council member requests to discuss an item, or if there's not unanimous consent, then the item will be removed and heard in regular order. Chair to entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We do have one discussion item, Mr. Lyon.
No action needed.
No action needed on the discussion item. Now move into new business public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, we're hereby adjourned. I call to order the Special Economic Development Authority. We do have a consent agenda, and these items are placed on the consent agenda so that the council members, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items by one motion. If any council member requests to discuss an item, or if there's not unanimous consent, then the item has been removed and heard in regular order.
You need to pull item 2.
Chair to entertain a motion to approve, except for pulling item number 2.
Move to approve. As stated.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. Item number 2, Mr. Lyons.
Discussion and consideration of possible action to accept or reject all bids received for Project 952501 monument signs for the Soldier Creek Industrial Park. Mr. Coleman.
The Soldier Creek Industrial Park zoning was adopted through Ordinance 3175 for Plan Unit Development PC 1766 some time ago. And within the ordinance in Section 6, it outlines the sign allowances for every tract and for the addition itself. The addition had an allowance for 2 subdivision signs at the front with the idea that the nameplates would be changed out if and when the tenants arrived or left. And then every tract within the Soldier Creek Industrial Park has the right to 1 pole sign. I think it's 20 feet tall maximum and 250 square feet or something like that. When American Glass approached us about their project, they really didn't want a pole sign. They wanted something that looked a little bit more outstanding. And so when we approved the Economic Development Agreement on August 22nd, 2023, in Section 404, we committed to putting the subdivision signs in and that we would work with them on a nice design that would benefit their campus. Within that same Economic Development Agreement, we also committed to allow up to $50,000 in reimbursements to extend any public utilities because we weren't sure where their tie-in points were going to be on the water or the sewer or electrical. They never tapped, pardon the pun, they never tapped into that. They were able to make their connections without coming back and asking us for that reimbursement. So we have $50,000 left toward that project. Our 2024-2025 budget included $70,000 for at least one of those signs. We figured signs are a lot more expensive than what you think they would be. This is a special sign. We hope to get one of those knocked out in the past year and one of them knocked out in the future. But when we bid the sign, they all came in. There were only 2 bidders. We sent links out to a lot of different sign contractors. We got 2 bids. The lowest bid was double what we had remaining in our budget, which was $60,000. So we have held off doing anything with this, partially because we weren't sure what the cost of the railroad was going to be. You'll also remember we agreed to put in a rail switch and a rail spur as part of the Economic Development Agreement. We're working off a 2023 budget estimate while we try to work our way through this federal grant. Thank goodness we got it, but it's not coming along quickly. We hope that we get the notice to proceed sometime in February or March and bid it, and we'll be about 1.5 years behind, and American has been very, very patient with us. But I didn't want to go out and spend $60,000 on a sign, and I know that's just a small in comparison to $3 million, and then come up, 70,000 short, 50,000 short. So we've held on to that. Well, after we bid the project, I told our friends at American, look, we're not going to be able to do the sign because they're way over. And they asked if they could negotiate and build and install the sign themselves. I said, well, we'll have to make a decision on that, but we got to either accept the bids that we got or reject them. If you accept these bids, then we would come back next month with a contract on what appears to be the best bidder. In the meantime, we'll have to find some more money. If you reject the bids tonight, then we'll go ahead and try to negotiate something with American Glass, who's agreed to give us an easement on their property to install the signs. That's why it's on the Utility Authority agenda. We have a mirror item on item 2 on the Utility Authority agenda. The EDA is paying for that, so that's why it's on both. But we'll proceed however you recommend. Staff would prefer that we just reject these, and then we go negotiate with them to get the look that we really want. And I have pictures of the sign if you would like to see it. It's, well, I'll pass it out. This is an internally lit sign, and it will have, again, panels that can be removed and replaced as new tenants come on board. And the timing's pretty good on this because we hope that we can get the one ready for Red Plains somewhere in the immediate future.
Based on what you've just told us, and I know what your relationship is with American Glass because I've been in the room with you and them at a couple of different events, my recommendation is to reject the bid and let you and them work out a deal.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention, motion carries. The bid is rejected. Mr. Coleman. We now move into public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, we are adjourned. And I'll call the order of the Special Utilities Authority. Once again, there's a consent agenda. These items are placed on the consent agenda so that the council members, by unanimous consent, can approve routine agenda items. If any council member requests to discuss an item or there's not unanimous consent, then the item has been removed and heard in regular order. And consistent with the last agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve except for item 2 and pull item 2.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Item number 2, as discussed in the last agenda, the chair would entertain a motion to reject. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We now move into public discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the authority? Hearing or seeing none, we are hereby adjourned. And I request a motion to reconvene the council agenda. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. We are reconvened, and we do have an executive session. Mr. Lyon.
Discussion, consideration, possible action of 1, entering to executive session is allowed under Title 25-307B4 to discuss confidential communications between a public body and its attorney concerning pending investigation, claim, or action of the public body with the advice of its attorney determines that disclosure would seriously impair the ability of the public body to process the claim or conduct a pending investigation, litigation, or proceeding in public interest regarding review and litigated settlements concerning Heritage Park Mall, and 2, authorizing the city manager to take action as appropriate based on discussion.
Chair to entertain a motion to go into executive session. I have a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Ladies and gentlemen, we're now in executive session. Thank you for being here, and have a good night and stay warm.